Would you refuse giving up your cart even though you're finished with it? Let's grab a pen and paper and get started. Hi, it's Kat Starling, and I like to make doodle videos paired with internet discussions and conversations. So let's unwind, listen, and reflect on some human stories. AITA for not wanting to give up my cart for free at Aldi's. So I don't know if Aldi's is everywhere or not. Their carts require you to put a quarter in the cart to use them, but you get the quarter back when you return it. It's to convince people to push their carts to the front of the store rather than leaving them in the parking lot. An unspoken rule is if someone grabs your cart from you before you turn it in, they give you a quarter for it. So this lady asked for my cart and I asked if she had a quarter. She said no. I shrugged and turned it in to get my quarter back. She got really upset and some other people kind of side-eyed me, and it made me feel like a jerk. I don't keep change or cash, and I just keep the quarter in my center console for when I shop there. So to me, if I gave up the cart for free, I would be SOL the next time I shopped at Aldi's.
Does anyone have a quarter?
So for me personally, I can relate to this OP because I would have felt and probably done the same thing. It's not really about the monetary value of the quarter, it's that it's a tool that you use to retrieve a cart at Aldi's. So for example, if someone took your screwdriver that you keep in your glove box or your purse, not like I do, maybe I do, and not getting it back would be kind of annoying. It's also about the inconvenience of not having one when you need it, especially if you lose it and then you have to replace it. For those of us who are a little bit more neurospicy brained, this can be especially difficult if you can only remember the quarter when you're either at Aldi's or in the car, making replacing it extremely difficult. At the end of the day, what would she have done if you weren't there with your cart and quarter? She clearly did not plan ahead and bring a quarter. So therefore, it's not your responsibility to supply one. Sometimes people ask for things expecting you to say yes and are surprised when you say no. Me personally, I'm not upset about the ask, but here's the thing. If you ask someone for something inconvenient and they say no, you gotta respect the no and move on. I think she is the jerk for expecting you to just give up your cart without any pushback, but that is with the assumption that we know her intentions. So just playing devil's advocate here, and as someone who understands awkward to awkward, she could have not known how the carts work at Aldi's. So to her, you were just refusing to hand over a cart you were no longer using. However, expecting someone to just do something just because you asked is a little bit silly, and she shouldn't have overreacted the way she did. So let's take a look at the comments and see what other people had to say. NTA, you always offer a quarter. Very often people will not accept it, but you always offer. Here's another comment. Yep, if I get mine without a quarter, I stick my Aldi's quarter back into my wallet for next week and give the cart away when I'm done. If the quarter is tied up into another cart, I will take the quarter. So here's a comment from OP responding to that thread. Same, if I get a cart for free, I give it away for free. Here's another good comment. Yeah, as someone who has ADHD, I would never remember to replace the quarter. NTA, if she had said something about not having cash, I might have, but the effort for me to remember to put another quarter in my car is insane. Yeah, like I said before, it's about the effort of trying to get it back into the car again. Comment here that makes some really good points. If you shop at Aldi's, you know that you have to have a quarter for the carts. For non-Aldi shoppers, the cart won't take bills, other change, or plastic. It must be a quarter. Most folks I know who shop at Aldi's are pretty much cash-free and only own one quarter. I only own one quarter, LOL. For future reference, if someone is quarterless and broke, they can ask a cashier for a quarter. Oh, I find that interesting. Okay, I did not know that you could go and borrow a quarter from a cashier. This is very helpful information. So in the future, if you're stuck at Aldi's without a quarter, you can go inside and ask the cashier to borrow one.
Quarter, quarter, quarter! All right, man, chill out. You're welcome.
Here's another comment. NTA, sucks she doesn't have a quarter on hand, but this is zero reason for you to give up yours. She can trot inside and get change like she'd have to do if there were no people to harass for their cart. LMAO. Yeah, I agree. It's not your mistake to fix, because she either didn't understand how carts work or she forgot the quarter, and both of those are not your responsibility. I'm guessing they're side-eyeing the situation, not you, especially if she was being a goober. Reddit friendly. NTA. I agree with this comment here. I don't think they were side-eyeing you. I think they were just side-eyeing the situation. This last comment I threw in here because I appreciate the level of pretty shiny hoarding. So I'm going to do my best dice goblin. NTA. I have one quarter. It is pretty horses on it. It is mine. So no, you're not the jerk and she is. So this post was removed by Reddit. I don't really know why, but luckily I saved the story before they removed it. So, AITA for refusing to let my friend turn my apartment into her, quote, second closet. So it began like this. I'm Kayla, and my friend Kate lives in a studio that's pretty cramped up. 2 months ago, she asked if I could keep 2 small boxes of winter clothes at my place since I have a 2-bedroom and more space. I didn't see the harm at the time and agreed. But those 2 boxes turned into bags, then shoes, then coats, and whatnot. She now has 6 large bags and 2 bins stacked in my spare room.
The laundry NATO continues to rip the town apart.
I told her it's starting to overwhelm my space and make me feel uncomfortable, especially because I actually use the room for work and study basically. When I asked her to either pick up her stuff or pay me part of the rent I pay, like $30 a month, which is less than a storage space, she got mad. She said I was being greedy and that friends don't charge each other for favors. She also accused me of acting like a landlord in my own house. From my point of view, it's not about the money, it's about my house. I feel like I can't have guests over without explaining why I'm storing half her wardrobe. I've also had to move her stuff around multiple times just to use my desk for work. Some mutual friends are saying I'm right for setting boundaries, but others think I'm being petty and making a big deal out of something that's been hurting me so bad. So, AITA for refusing to let my friend keep turning my apartment into her storage unit? So for me, it sounds like the terms of the agreement changed. More boxes and stuff showed up than you originally anticipated, and it became inconvenient. Even if nothing changed or became inconvenient, you are allowed to change your mind because this is your space. However, a good question to ask yourself is, what do you really want? Your space or your money? I'm going to assume it's the space that you really want, so stick with that. So I would not have said anything about the money. To me, it was a little extreme to ask for her to pay. I might have gone in a little bit softer, explain that the amount of stuff was getting out of hand and that she needed to find another place to store it. After expressing your needs, see what her reaction is. Her response will tell you everything that you need to know. She could be a forgetful person, out of sight, out of mind.
No, it's true. I forget things almost instantly. It runs in my family. Well, I mean, at least I think it does.
Therefore, does not realize how inconvenient it's becoming for you. In that case, she will want to find a compromise to fix the problem as soon as possible. Or she could be hoping to take advantage of your generosity without any pushback. Then she will be defensive and uncompromising. At this point, you're going to need to reevaluate the friendship. This will color how you handle the situation going forward. People show you who they really are when you tell them no. If she is willing to compromise, and this is a friendship you wish to maintain, offer a couple ideas to help solve both your problems. Having a timeline is a good idea for both parties. It has been my experience that if you do not put down a timeline, then people tend to overstay their welcome, intentionally or unintentionally. So give her a couple weeks or 30 days, whatever makes you feel comfortable. You can also offer to work together to pack up and sort through her stuff for donation or relocation. I know that I do this every time I have to move or downsize. I will invite some friends over, we will make a day of hanging out, and while I sort through my stuff, I find that I have an easier time getting things done. Body doubling is a really awesome tool. These suggestions are only good if you wish to maintain the friendship, however. If you are done with this person, and you very much well could be, I would say a simple, this is no longer working out, and you have X many days to remove your stuff. Give her a reasonable time frame and stick to it. There will be some fallout. That's what happens when you go through a friend breakup. But overall, NTA. Let's take a look at what other people had to say. NTA. You were willing to give her an inch, she's trying to take a mile. Take a picture of her 2 boxes, screenshot any conversation about it, and tell her to come get her things out of your apartment. The offer of storage space is now rescinded. When she complains about it to her friends, send them pictures of her 2 boxes and let them know. You'll be sure to let Kate know they're offering free storage for her. Yeah, so any friends that are giving you crap for not holding onto her stuff can volunteer up their space or shut up. NTA. That said, don't charge her for it. Just tell her you're happy to help her store her stuff, but you're limited in what you can fit in X space in your room. 2 boxes maybe, then stick to it. Yeah, charging money only makes sense if you're willing to give up the space long term, Just stick to finding a way to remove some of or all of her stuff so you can get your space back. If she is using you as a closet, it's more than just her stuff everywhere. How often does she intrude on you in your home to access the stuff? You're basically a storage shed in this relationship. Give her a day and a time to pick it up, no excuses. Take back your space and your self-respect. So that's a really good point. Having someone come and access their stuff at all hours can be quite inconvenient.
What are you doing?
Looking for my sweater.
You're wearing it.
NTA, perhaps if Kate kept a smaller wardrobe, she could afford more space, but these are her choices. You pay for your space and want to use it for yourself. Storage units exist for this exact purpose. She's being selfish and entitled. Yeah, it is nice to help out, but it's not your obligation. She will have to downsize or get a storage unit. NTA, your friend is taking advantage of your kindness and you should put a stop to it since it's getting in the way. I would just ask her to take her stuff back. If anyone asks for a similar favor in the future, just say no. It's okay to say no. Yeah, this is definitely a learning opportunity for OP. It is also okay to say yes to the initial reasonable request and change it to a no when they keep asking for more. You don't need to refuse doing favors to people who haven't done anything wrong because of one AH who has a problem. Agreed. You can also say yes, but make sure to have specific parameters like the amount of stuff or a clear time frame. NTA, she needs to come up with a creative storage idea in her own home. Get rid of some stuff, pay for a storage unit, pay you, or get herself a larger place to live. I'm sure among those, she can come up with something that meets her financial abilities. This is true. She really needs to come up with a solution that doesn't really burden you. This is her responsibility. NTA, you don't want her stuff there, so you shouldn't be charging her to store it. You should just be drawing a line and saying you need to come and collect your things. Yeah, I agree. Don't ask for money and just get her stuff out. I moved into a small studio last month. Do you know how much stuff I gave away? Anything I couldn't move into my new place. I still have some stuff I'm gonna have to throw away or give away. My former roommate and friend offered to store some stuff at the house. Nope, I don't want to open that can of worms. You're definitely NTA and she is not your friend if she's acting like this. I lived in a studio too, and I had to get a storage unit as well. And when I could no longer afford the bigger storage unit, I had to go through and get rid of some stuff. It's just what you have to do. Give her a deadline to remove all of her crap from your residence. Guess what? If something happens to her stuff while it's in your house, she will make your life smell and likely take you to small claims court over loss. You are not a storage facility. You are not responsible for her hoarding. If she has so much stuff that it cannot stay at her home, she needs to sort her stuff and donate. If she cuts your friendship over this, it says more about her than you. And those telling you that you're overreacting, let them know that they are more than welcome to be her public storage. NTA. Yeah, if she's the kind of person who blames everyone else for her problems, then she will blame you for general storage wear. And God forbid, if something happens while you're moving it and it breaks, you just don't want that kind of burden. AITA for asking my friend group to send deposits up front for a trip after last time only half paid me back. Our friend circle, which comprises of 6 friends, takes a trip every year. I usually plan the trip, including booking, Airbnb, and arrangements. Last year, I had to pay $600 from my pocket, as everyone was saying, pay me later.
Yeah, I'm gonna pay it back later.
Only half actually paid me later though. When we were planning the trip this year, I suggested everyone pay deposits first, and then I wouldn't have to pay from my pocket. Some of my friends got upset and said that it was making things complicated and that I was overthinking. One of my friends said, "You're usually good at this. What changed? Am I the AITA for requesting deposits this time?" So my opinion might be colored by the fact that I don't really like large group outings. And in particular, this is one of the reasons why. But I am definitely not the planner when it comes to trips like this. That is my sister. She is one who is the planner and puts together the itinerary. I personally feel like she should become some type of travel agent because she kind of has like a knack for these things. So because she takes on the responsibility and the mental load, I'm always happy to pay my half to her right away because honestly, it's the least I can do for what she does for me. So what you're doing technically is like the job of a travel agent. But you're not getting paid for those services. It's been my experience that usually the people who do the complaining, saying things like you're making it complicated, are usually the ones who didn't pay and are trying to get out of paying. It's really not terribly complicated. You're just sort of making it harder for those type of people to fly under the radar. So it sounds like you're not even asking for those people to pay you back before the new trip this year. However, I definitely think you should. I get not wanting to chase people down for money, so I understand letting it slide for the first time. But for me, people who are willing to take advantage of your generosity like that are not people I really need in my life. So what I see here is you've learned your lesson from last year and are setting new expectations for this year. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm curious to see what other people had to say, so let's read some comments. So I found here a comment thread that I like, so let's read this whole thing. In your group chat, the person who asked what changed, just say, I won't name names publicly, but some of you didn't pay me back last time, so I need deposits up front. Those who didn't pay me can discuss it privately. If you're not willing to do that, then someone else can take over the booking of this trip because I'm not willing to have to pay an additional $600 plus like last time. And then stand firm, your NTA. I really like this wording, and the response will show you who your friends really are. This might split the group, but if anybody stiffs you for $600, then they're not really your friend anyway. I also feel that if someone cannot afford their half the trip ahead of time, maybe this person should not be going on the trip to begin with. So the thread continues on. Agreed, either not a good friend or very forgetful, which would be me, and would be mortified that I forgot to pay and would pay you ASAP. Quote, I'm so sorry. Here's from last time and here's this year's deposit. Thank you for arranging this again. I like the idea of handling the people privately, but it also depends on the person. If they try to guilt trip you or manipulate you into just dropping it, then I probably would have named names. Again, it depends on the person. NTA, quote, what changed is I never got my money back. Did I forget to mention that? Thought I mentioned it. It was very not good for me. Literally, OP should tell them what changed, LOL. There was an incident. What if it was the friend who didn't pay that said this? And what they actually mean was, quote, you're usually good with us using you as a doormat. What changed? The response remains the same, except maybe a bit stronger. If it's the actual person stiffing you has the gall to ask to your face. You put a stop to that kind of behavior. And you can embarrass them if it comes to that, i.e. call them out about it in front of the friends. If they're not completely embarrassed about it and don't try to rectify it after blatantly being called out, they're not your real friends. And I would start distancing myself from them and put up some boundaries. It's a fun trick. The way I look at it, it should never have come to that. If they are a good person, they'll know what they did wrong and want to fix it if they consider OP a friend. OP, why are you inviting people on a trip who never paid you back for the last one? This is the correct answer. I think they mean question. This is the correct question. Don't forget to add last year's total to this year's trip because they still owe you. You don't owe anyone a trip. This is a clear sign that they're not your friend. They are using you. NTA. You would be if you fold on this. Make them pay what they owe you and the deposits before you book anything for them.
We are going to make them pay. Oh, yes. How much?
Yeah, I just don't think it's a good idea to go on trips with people who still owe you money and might not be planning to pay you back. So I found this opposing comment. I thought it was interesting. Thank you. OP sounds like one of those people who like to go above and beyond and then complain when people don't appreciate it. So I disagree with this comment. I don't think that's what's going on here with OP. I could see some pushback if OP was planning extra things that people couldn't afford or didn't really want to do, but I don't think that's what's going on here. I don't think she's going above and beyond. I think she's the one in charge of just doing all the trip planning and putting down the deposits. And she's just simply asking everybody pay for their fair share up front based off the actions of people last year. Also, I see a benefit to asking everybody for their share at the beginning because if there's any financial issues, it can be addressed ahead of time. She should totally name the names in the group. With some luck, the public shaming will result in her getting her money back. After all, they seemingly have money for the new trip, so it's not like they are lacking money. They could pay OP back, and if they don't, OP knows that they are just using her and are not her friends. Quote, you're usually good at this comes off as, quote, you're usually let us smooch off of you with zero consequences, especially if it was by the friends who still owe you money. Yeah, I agree. I had kind of the same thought. It sounds like sit down, shut up, and just let us take advantage of you. I don't get how sending money to a person making bookings and organizing the trip is complicated or overthinking. Again, unless you're a mooch who feels that paying your debts is complicated. Like for example, when I book a hotel and flight for our trip with my girlfriend last year, once it was booked, I sent her the total divided by 2, and she sent it to me the same day. It's easier than even sending the money. Personally, I don't allow debts to accumulate. In your position, if they wanted to come on the trip this year, they have to pay me for last year's trip before I booked anything for them. That's reasonable to me. NTA. Why TA to yourself? Why again are you putting yourself in this position? Came to say this. Can't believe OP is like, I got screwed out of 600 last year. Oh well, I should probably just do the same thing again. I feel like those comments were a little bit on the harsh side. This next comment, however, I feel like puts a good perspective on it. They're not doing the same thing again. They've changed it to pay up front. They just need a little validation that they're doing the right thing with it. When people who you consider friends do something not cool, a lot of people need a little outside perspective at first to realize it's okay to push back. OP, NTA, stick to your guns, the moochers are wrong here. Nothing crazier to witness than a people pleaser in action. Let's be gentle. It's not like she's a bad person or that she's done anything wrong, unethical, or immoral. I agree, she needs to stand up for herself and stop being a people pleaser, but there's a kinder way to say it. Yeah, I agree with this last comment. This person's trying to do better, hence the reason why they're making everybody pay up front. They're learning to stand up for themselves. Looks like OP responded in the comments here. I asked my friend group to pay deposits up front and track our expenses in a spreadsheet. After last time, only half of them paid me back. I might be the a-hole in this case because it might come off as mistrustful and also makes the process more complicated and stressful for everyone involved when they just want to keep things casual and fun like before. It's not about, quote, casual and fun. They just want you to pay again. NTA, stop being a doormat. They still need to pay you for what's left from last year's trip before you start planning a new one. This is the answer. Anyone who still has outstanding debts with you pays that and the deposit before they get to go on this trip. Or you go with only people that paid you last year and they all paid the deposit before it's booked. Is it still casual and fun? Did you have fun shelling out $600 on your own? Adults make payments. This comment makes a very good point. Casual and fun at your expense. YTA if you pay for, quote, friends who still owe you from last year. Either write it off and accept that you gifted them a trip, or make them pay what they owe from last year plus a deposit. As far as friends who paid as agreed, they don't need to be punished or hand-holding. Why would you be an a-hole for mistrusting them after they broke your trust? Are the same people that didn't pay you back last year also going this year? So yes, you trusted them that they would pay you back and they didn't, so trust was broken. Great idea. Start a shared Google Sheets to track the budget, payments, ideas for the trips, and who's bringing what, etc. Full transparency.
Figured out how to work the Google on the intranet machine.
I have personally participated in a friend group doc, and it does make planning so much easier in my opinion. And really, the math isn't that hard, but it's the people trying to skip out on paying and guilt tripping you over it that's the complicated part. So, NTA. I think reading people's stories and experiences is a great opportunity to discuss about human interaction and human emotion. I also enjoy doodling because I find it very calming and easily accessible. I would also like to read some human stories that are not on Reddit. If you have a story that you wish to discuss on this channel, you can find my email link below. I hope you found the doodles calming and the stories interesting. Comment your thoughts below. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you're shy, please put an emoji in the comments. Also, if you're so inclined, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching till the end. I look forward to reading your comments and see you in the next one. Bye!